Mother died of cancer at 53. In those last painful months, she was more worried about paying her medical bills than getting well. I hear stories like hers every day. For 20 years, Washington's talked about healthcare reform and reformed nothing. I've got a plan to cut costs and cover everyone. But unless we stop the bickering and the lobbyists, we'll be in the same place 20 years from now. I'm Barack Obama, and I approve this message because to fix healthcare, we have to fix Washington.
We'll see. The Obama campaign invited people to make posters, grassroots posters. So in addition to the more establishment work, which raised the bar, other posters, strongly designed and intelligently written, were produced for the campaign and made available on the websites. And these are just a few of those. Now, they were sanctioned by the Obama campaign, because you can see the logo down below, which has a check mark in it, which means vote for change. And they cover all the primary issues of the environment, healthcare, and the like. Now, I want to talk about some misfires and some pretty successful fires. The misfire was this. Before Obama was ever elected president, he created, or somebody within his campaign, created the Obama presidential seal. And this immediately, they were able to get the analytics on this within seconds. It came up on the evening news, and it was an insult to so many people. So they removed it, and they acknowledged that it was a mistake. It suggested hubris on the part of Obama. It suggested a kind of self-satisfaction on the part of the campaign, and it didn't work, although it's quite nice, and I would like to have a copy of it for my wall. Then they took the logo and they started playing around with it. They did a little Man Ray kind of homage here. They engaged in a little psychedelia here for all of his acid-taking constituents. The environmentalists got their own colors. The gay pride, you know, it's like, why didn't I think of that? And students for Obama, if you can see that, is a notebook pad. So these are really smart uses of the mark. And then there was the demonstration in Berlin, where Obama, again, before he even clinched the nomination, went and spoke to the huddled masses of 300,000 people. And the Obama campaign let off a weather balloon with the Obama logo, which was a thrill to everyone. And it soared high and certainly got the attention of the American public, who had not seen a president go abroad, particularly to Germany, and find such a welcome audience. Then came the nomination. He won all the primaries. It was a clear clinch that he would get all the votes needed to be nominated. There was no mystery about it. So the Obama people decided to do the Super Bowl of politics, which is the Democratic or Republican national conventions, and they created a spectacle. They used some of the logo power, some of the typography for the logo for the convention itself. It was held in Denver, Colorado, hence the mountains. And of course, you can unpack very easily all of these images, the stars, the bars, the red, white, and blue. Then they hired some real top-shooting Broadway set designers, and frankly, they went overboard. It looked more like Dancing with the Stars and American Idol than it did a presidential campaign. And Even Hillary was brought out as a contestant. The typography was still great. I mean, it was still used consistently. But look at this. You know, it kind of makes you want to boogie and woogie. Until the night that Obama actually came out to make his speech. And that's when they did something again that offended a lot of people in the country, although not me among them. But they recreated one of the facades of the White House, in styrofoam, mind you, so that Obama was standing very presidentially, not against this game show backdrop, but against what he would be standing against should he be elected and give press conferences in front of the White House. And it was rather stunning, although the Republicans were totally up in arms. So I also, just by way of contrast, want to show you the conventional Republicans. The Republicans were never really known for their creative side. I mean, country western music is pretty much what the Republicans enjoy. I mean, I enjoy it too, but not as much as they do. So, interesting thing about the Republican convention, George Bush, the President of the United States, was not there. Usually, a sitting president is in the hall to basically hand the baton over to the candidate who will hopefully replace him. Instead, his wife, Laura Bush, stood up before a huge projection of an American flag, put out her hands and said, "Why was he ever president?" And then for 8 minutes, you have George Bush from the White House in front of his podium, and you can see the relative size of that thing. I mean, it was mammoth. That's not a Photoshop rendering. And he basically, talked about cutting brush in Texas, and that was the end of it. Their typography was never very outrageous or unified. They're using a lot of Times Roman and other serif faces within the hall. They use their version of, their cap version of Optima. I just love the idea that this guy is carrying reform out of the hall. And they gave away a lot of cowboy hats because Republicans like cowboy hats. If you can see on the backstage, they redesigned the Republican pachyderm so it was standing on its feet. Go figure. This is what usually greets a presidential convention, whether it's Democrat or Republican. There always has to be a police presence because there's always going to be a loyal opposition. And the loyal opposition can be very creative. And this is where politics becomes interesting. The politics of dissent. Mirko Ilić and Milton Glejzer produced a book and exhibition called The Design of Dissent. And it's a collection of many different forms of dissent. But for political campaigns in America, there's always plenty of this. There are many caricaturists who spend their days trying to figure out how best to ridicule the candidates. This one's pretty cool by an American caricaturist named Joel Meyerowitz, but this one is my favorite. Sarah Palin as Amy Winehouse. If only she was that drugged. And this actually was published in the New York Post, which is a very right-wing newspaper in New York. And it was a slap at Sarah Palin, who they dragged out and had her meet a variety of important world leaders, including Henry Kissinger and Karzai from Afghanistan, so that she could get up to speed on international politics, so that she wouldn't any longer say that I've been to Russia because it's across the bay from where I live. And this is one of the more famous covers, pieces of alternative graphics. This is by Barry Blitt. It appeared as a